1990, whatever, you literally would stand under the basket and never bring your arms down, just to stand there, rebound and throw the ball. It's much different. So, yeah.
I guess another thing I want to get into too. So as I mentioned before, you work with emotional intelligence. So tell people where you work and what got you to doing this. Like, why is this something that, you wanted to get into?
Yeah, sure. So I have had a career, and so after I retired from field hockey, I basically went into a career of professional sales. I've been a salesperson for upward of 30 years, and now I am running a business, a 12-state area business in the Midwest, for a company called Talent Smart. And Talent Smart was started by two authors that wrote a very famous book on emotional intelligence. And coming from the background of sports, of athletics, both at Carolina and the national team, more so on the national team, we had a sports psychologist that would travel with us. We went to a lot of really kind of scary places when you're in your young 20s. Spent a month and a half in Delhi in India, spent a month in the former Soviet Union, in Moscow and Kiev. And so we had a sports psychologist that did a lot of breathing techniques, a lot of visualization, visualize yourself making the perfect pass, all the way to things that visualize yourself walking out during the opening ceremonies, things like that. Well, those are actually emotional intelligence techniques. So over my business career, I have always followed articles and thought leaders in emotional intelligence. And it just so happens that one of these thought leaders, kind of really famous person, is a gentleman named Dr. Travis Bradberry. Travis and his colleague Gene Greaves wrote the book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and that is who I work for. Travis recruited me to this company, and we help train organizations and people basically to be peak performers. And peak performers are athletes. They're, people in corporations, a lot of military. We train the Air Force, the United States Air National Guard, Army National Guard, Army, just to use techniques to help with self-management and social awareness. There's some other things too, but I don't want to bore you. But this has been a long time passion. So I did a lot of sales, kind of followed emotional intelligence, but an absolute believer in the power of positive thinking, the power of visualization. And I literally, when Travis reached out to me to recruit me, I thought it was like a Russian bot. I really did. I thought, is this a joke? Is he like, really? Because this is such a passion. So I've been here about a year and a half now. And I have to admit, during the times of COVID, emotional intelligence has never been more important. Very challenging time, but I know I'm in the right place.
Yeah, I think I'm going to commentate a little bit on that too. I'm a psychology major at Amherst, and I definitely get involved in the sports psychology realm a lot. And it's so important, just like emotional intelligence, just generally, just being able to kind of be able to react well to situations, being able to build good relationships with people, to kind of just understand that people don't necessarily have the same situations as you. Everyone views things differently. And that's something I kind of looked from studying journalism now, is that everyone views the world differently than you do. So being able to be reciprocal in your emotions is just so important. So I think that's just really cool that you work in that, because as an athlete too, a former athlete, you have the ability to connect to so many different audiences because you have a big platform that you had. And that's really cool too, because, so many people during COVID are not having the opportunity to kind of have a positive outlook on things. Right. And it's tough because, you have COVID, which is, a very scary virus. I mean, we have not seen before. It's 150,000 deaths in the United States. It's scary for sure. And then like just being able to do that is really cool. But, if you want to expand a little bit more about that, but yeah, it's just that I think that's just something that, you do that's besides sports, that's just obviously very inspiring to a lot of people.
Yeah, I do. Mike, I do think, it's okay not to be positive all the time. It's okay to have feelings of being afraid. That's really what emotional intelligence is about. Everybody thinks, oh, isn't emotional intelligence like you're just a nice person? It's not. It's a skill you can increase. And a lot of it is just being aware of yourself, having self-awareness. So when I wake up in the morning and have anxiety about, what your cousin Katie's school now being online full time, I can be aware. I'm conscientious that every thought that I have starts out as an emotional thought. It's actually physically impossible for it not to. Your Your thoughts all start in your brainstem and have to go through your limbic system, which is your emotional brain. So even Mike, just understanding that it's okay if I am stressed out or okay if I don't feel well. You just have to be able to flip quickly into how am I going to manage that? You know, take a deep breath, go for a run, work out, call a friend, those types of things. And right now, it's such an important time because we are social beings, and you and I mean, this is great. I'm so happy I can see you, but I would love, I'd rather be with you and your family, you know, giving you guys all hugs, and we can't do that right now. So we just have to find ways to stay connected. And it's okay. You don't always have to stay positive and always have to, you know, be in a great mood. You just have to be able to recognize I'm feeling this way. Others may be feeling differently. And how am I going to interact with them? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to keep connections during this time too. And I've been able to do it through this podcast with a lot of people, but it's hard because for me, I'm a very social person. I need to reach out and talk to people face to face a lot. So it's just because how I can build connections, how I can kind of understand how people think. Because I actually love the fact that people have diverse thinking and can think differently than me, because you learn a unique perspective. And from everything as an athlete, just from anything that you're doing in life, you have a platform, but if you're willing to engage with people in different conversations, like even just debating sports, for example, right? People look at games totally differently. The way I wrote an article today about the games from last night, and someone could look at that and say, you're totally wrong in the way you're viewing the games, right? Because they view the game maybe differently. But I think that's, again, that awareness. Yeah, I think that's an important piece for people that don't get that all the time, is that, like I try to be as positive as I can, but it's that kind of awareness that people are going to be going through different situations.
Well, I think that's great. You realize that at a young age, because I got to tell you, when I was your age, I thought I knew everything. It's not until I matured a little bit where I could really appreciate other people's differing opinions. So that's pretty wonderful. If you can do that at your young age. It took me a little longer. So.
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here. If you like that clip, like and subscribe to hear more from Shred Takes podcast show, and be in touch for more stuff coming up weekly.